Keith, aka Gator Guy 231, here for a showdown breakdown of City versus Chelsea. 80K prize pool, which is just continuing this streak of some really nice high prize pools for those that know that soccer has never seen this type of thing. So let's keep getting them filled. If you are enjoying these videos, you want more, and you want even some subscriber exclusive content, make sure you jump over to FSI. Links at the bottom. We'd love to have you aboard. Subscriptions to every single soccer site for as low as $10 a week. Once again, would love to see you in our Discord and enjoying the sweats. Let's get right into this game. So City, it is at Stamford Bridge, which there's a little value there. But City is a -131 favorite with Chelsea's +312. Total rounding in that 2 3/4 range. I have seen it kind of creeping up, closer to 3. For all you Chelsea fans, sorry for the troll job that I had to do on the cover image. Just love the KDB former Chelsea one. I just couldn't help it. Sorry, guys. Anyhow, speaking of KDB, I always joke that I put him in the God range. We're going to go down to the lineups, but I put him in the God range of DFS plays. So, that range for me is like KDB, Kostic, Alexander-Arnold, and the one and only Lionel Messi. Ronaldo is like close to that because I never fade Ronaldo. But we've seen a little bit more stinkers every once in a while from Ronaldo than any of those other guys. But just these guys, at the moment you see them, that you have 15 DK in your pocket. The value of that type of thing is not to be understated. So if you have 150 lineups tomorrow, you're probably playing KDB in like 148. He's just that good. And honestly, the pricing is kind of such today that, it's really easy to fit him. So, and it's actually pretty easy to fit him as a captain. So I think that'll be the most popular captain pick. First pick in your lineup. There's your little, so-called free square. Now, I think it'll be interesting. So Aguero, we already know, is in the hospital, unfortunately. Can't remember if I saw that he tore up his knee, but I know it said that he already had surgery. So it'll definitely be Jesus starting as the striker. He is a little underpriced for a City striker, but, it is a tougher matchup. I think that I really do feel like this is the City lineup that we will see. Sterling on the left, Mahrez on the right. Important to remember with Mahrez that, oftentimes he takes the right-sided corners, even with KDB in. Now, there's plenty of times that KDB will still run over there, but, if you all of a sudden see Mahrez take the first corner, like, don't freak out. KDB still has a majority of sets. It just helps Mahrez a little bit from a floor perspective. With his shooting and just his skills, he already does have a little bit of a floor too. Sterling would be the more goal dependent of the two. But, he is a fantastic player. I think he finished, top 5, top 6 EPL player of the year. Especially if we see Reece James over there, maybe could give the young kid a little bit of problems. We'll see. But I do think that the 4 best plays on City are the front 4, with KDB being the lock. I think that in most lineups you have Mahrez or Sterling, and then you're deciding if you're going to do Jesus or somebody on the Chelsea side. Kyle Walker's never been my favorite of the fullbacks, but his price did drop to the point, I think he's 4,600, that, man, that it's kind of, that's bait, but it's also just a really solid play for a City fullback. Keep in mind, I'm trying to think of the right way to say this. I don't want to go too deep into tactics because, it's Pep and he can just change tactics on a dime for something that he sees from Chelsea. But more often than not, especially if you even watch last game too, when City was up, fullback like Walker, really does tuck in a lot more. And Mahrez is the guy that provides the width out here. Now, there's a lot of overlapping and there's a lot of different things that go on, but in possession, you don't see Walker on this byline very often. You see him kind of in this range of the field, kind of being somewhat of a midfielder with Fernandinho and Laporte, kind of sweeping back there. So Walker is not often, I don't want to say never, but not often going to get you 7-8 crosses. When Mendy is in, that's more the role that he'll play. He's just a better crosser of the ball and, less of a good defender. So sometimes you will see him get close to the touchline and out wide where he can cross the ball in. Am I saying that that is going to happen for sure? Absolutely not. It's really important when, not to get stuck to some of these views. You have to alternate and get different exposures or just play what fits the best. Because managers, especially these elite managers, they're not going to go out with the same game plan every single game. But I do think in the bigger games, Pep does kind of go back to some basic principles. So I do think that Kyle Walker plays more in that kind of midfield holding range. Does that mean that he can't get a cross in from over here? No, he absolutely can. Just, I don't think if you go back and you watch the game or you see heat maps outside of like a counterattack or outside of a aggressive overlapping run that we see him off on the touchline very often at all. Rodri is going to be a lot more defensive. Ilkay Gundogan will have a little bit more freedom to roam upward. Ilkay was phenomenal versus Sheffield. I think he ended up having 10 to 11 4 points. With KDB on, he's not going to be a threat to take corners. But, he's right in that mid-tier, good player. We just saw him once again with outsets, hit double digits. So I think that works as well. Then you can always play the fullbacks. Ederson, this is the type of game I think you have a little more upside. I don't love paying high-priced Ederson when there's no save upside over, let's say, a Cancelo or Ben Mendy or those type of players. I went over that last time. But this is the type of matchup when he probably should see a few shots. I think the last time they met, I think Chelsea got 6 on target. That's the type of game where that could be a really good GPP move, because now if he gets 3 to 4 saves, clean sheet and a win, now you're like 18 DK and that's a goal being scored. So I do think that that's in play this time. All right, Chelsea side of things. So the top option is Willian, but I will argue that my actual top option is good old N'Golo Kante. They have him a little underpriced. I think 3,800 is what he's at. That for somebody that is going to be very involved in tackles, that is going to have many chances of interception with the style that Pep plays. Very, very. I always forget the term. I think it's tickety-tackety, whatever the term is. But I'm sure I'll get corrected. But, the short passes, not a ton of crossing, short passes all the time gives N'Golo Kante a chance at live interceptions. Something I've noticed on Barcelona showdown slates is those central defenders for the opposition get a ton of interceptions. So I could see N'Golo Kante showing up with multiple interceptions, maybe, a shot assist or two, a couple fouls drawn, and before you know it, 3,800, you're at 5 to 7 DK and you're cruising. I do love him when he plays the 6 role, but if I didn't actually see this, but I guess Jorginho is back, which would move N'Golo Kante into a little bit more of an attacking role, which gives him some more goal upside. He did score the last time these two met from this role. Reece James, I really do. So let me just go back to Willian. So he's the top DFS play because in this situation, we would have to project him as on a majority, if not all the sets. Last time he played with Mount did not take any corners. And, we didn't have enough of a sample set with Reece James, but he, I think William's going to take over him. So if you can fit it, that works. I'm never the biggest fan of targeting corners versus City with their possession-based style. It just doesn't give a ton of corner opportunities. That said, interesting stat, and the last time they met, Chelsea had 54% of the possession versus City's 46, which I remember watching the game. I don't remember that sticking out, but if you can project that type of flow or 50-50, then yeah, I think that you end up trying to get Willian in like a cash/optimal build. All right, so I do want to talk about Espo Quetta, who's coming off of like the game of his life versus Villa. I don't remember exactly. I think he finished double-digit cross in for sure, 2 assists. Now, he was playing on the right and also was playing with Chelsea, just dominating possession and struggling to score for some time. So that's the perfect script for any fullback in DFS. But there would be 2 problems if this happened. One, Espo Quetta on the left is not going to bomb forward as much on the right. He's very, very right-footed. So, if he hits the touchline, I have not personally seen him cross the ball with his left, like maybe outside of one time. So he's going to want to cut back to get the cross in, which oftentimes, results in a back pass. So I think you have to lower his crossing for way down. And not to mention with Reece James in, he just has to be more defensive. James has to willingness, or oftentimes is going to bomb forward almost too much. And Espo Quetta has to pick up some of the slack in the back. So he's priced high. That's the highest fullback of all four, and he's by far my least favorite of the four. If he's going to get there, it's going to be tackles and interceptions, which for his price, I think you would just as good playing like one of these central midfielders. So that's my Espo Quetta take. Reece James, I very much like. He can do some of the same things as Espo Quetta in terms of tackles, fouls drawn, but is going to be more involved in crossing, especially if he's over on the right. I do think it would be him over Alonso. I just personally don't rate Alonso very highly on the defensive aspect of the ball. So I can't imagine that Lampard would end up playing him in this matchup. Center backs are center backs. Kepa's Kepa. Kepa likes to concede, but Kepa is priced down. So if you don't, the contrarian view would be fading like a City, only playing like two City attackers, so like KDB and Mahrez, fading the goals, playing Kepa. That would make you contrarian. We are seeing a ton of ownership on favored goalkeepers in Showdown, to the point that it actually may be out of control. And, we might see some of the sharps start pivoting away from them, like Courtois. And it worked on that Madrid Showdown yesterday. He was 50% in the Classic, which for a goalie in the range of outcomes, like, I get it. Like, I love playing goalie for upside, and, I'm finding myself more and more finding them in cash when I think that they're enough of a favorite, or I don't like the other side or the attackers or the lineups that are in. But, that ownership is getting a little out of control, where, people need to start leveraging off of that. But what we aren't seeing getting out of control are the dog keepers. Are still showing up under own, and they arguably have a higher ceiling than the favorites. So, Kepa, if you want GPP look, that works. Giroud, I won't have like any shares. Now, there's a really, really good argument to make that he actually is the type of player that could hurt City. City's just a small team, especially when you have Fernandinho in over like an Otamendi. So Giroud could 100% get a header here. But outside of that, he is likely to get you nothing until he scores. So that is a scary play. It is reserved for GPP only. Mason Mount, I would only be considering it for GPP or Chelsea stacks. Him losing some corners, that's just a little bit of floor loss with him. And I feel like personally that he's priced up a little bit and priced with some of those corners in mind. I would actually love to see this be Christian Pulisic. Came on and scored last game, was awesome, when he was getting a long run. So I would love to see Lampard give him a shot. I would be interested in Christian Pulisic. Just think that he's really figuring out the system, and he has that extra motivation of Werner coming in and just fighting for his spot. Kovacic, just one of those fit plays. If he works, he's fine. He likely is the sub. And then Jorginho is on PKs. So if you want to, shoot for that upside on that, Jorginho taking the PKs would work for me. Overall, I think a lot of the times, I don't think this is going to be a 5-1 type of slate. I think 4-2 City might be the optimal build. If lines fall to the way that you have 5-1, that works. But I think if you go 3-3 or 4-2 Chelsea, you're probably already getting more into the GPP range. Because once City's on the field, I'm always going to favor City, and just go from there. Well, guys, I really do appreciate y'all watching. We will probably do another giveaway probably next week. I'll take a look at the schedule. But I want to just thank everybody for doing our little retweet contest. That really does help. Just a final reminder, like, subscribe to the channel. And I love when I've seen all these comments. It's cool to interact with you guys. It makes me feel good just to see the content getting out there and y'all enjoying it. So take care. Good luck today, and let's see somebody take it down. Have a good one.